The sky was clear. Birds flew over cities. Children played in parks. Businessmen stared at glowing screens. Somewhere in the ocean, whales sang. It was a normal day, but not for long. A strange pulse passed through the air. No one felt it. Number. Alarms rang, but satellites blinked. Signals paused. Machines stuttered for half a second. Then everything returned to normal. Or so it seemed. Above Earth's orbit, an unknown object moved into position. It was not a meteor. It was not a human satellite. It was not made by Earth. It was something else. Something old. Something massive. It was a relay beacon. It powered on. And every screen on Earth phones, TVs, tablets, billboards flickered. For a second. Then it happened. A voice spoke. Cold. Deep. Not human. This is the Galactic Empire. You are a primitive world. You will kneel. People across the world froze. Streets went silent. Subways stopped. Pilots gasped mid-flight. The message continued. You are allowed to exist under the Empire's rule, but freedom is over. Send a delegation to the outer edge of Sector 19. You will offer tribute. You will surrender your fleets. You will give control of your planets. Orbit. In return, you will not be destroyed. It paused. You have 7 cycles to answer. Then all screens returned to normal. People thought it was a hack, a prank. Some laughed. But space agencies didn't laugh. Military satellites detected something real in object, large and ancient, now floating near the moon. It was not from Earth. Leaders around the world gathered within hours. Secret emergency meetings. Some wanted to ignore the message. Others wanted to reply. But one group said nothing. They only listened. And then they disappeared into secret facilities, deep under mountains, far below oceans, and inside long-forgotten bunkers. They were the architects. For decades, they had warned of something like this. That Earth was not alone. That one day, a threat would come from the stars, not in peace, but in domination. They were called madmen, dreamers, conspiracy nuts. But now, they were needed. Inside a hidden base in Greenland, a man named Commander Eli Voss watched the replay again. He didn't blink. The voice was familiar, not in sound, but in pattern. The Empire had spoken like this before. On other planets, he leaned forward and whispered to his team. They've done this to others, and those worlds are gone. In the base's war room, a large hologram of the Empire's beacon floated in the air. Earth's defense satellites had scanned it. Alien alloys, a gravity engine, and a weapon coil one large enough to crack a moon. It wasn't just a message. It was a threat made of steel. The United Nations tried to respond with peace. A message was sent, asking for dialogue. But the beacon didn't reply. Instead, it spoke again. Just 4 words. 6 cycles remain now. On Earth, panic spread. Protests broke out. Some people wanted to kneel. Others demanded war. But no one knew what to do. Earth had never fought aliens. Earth had never seen a war in the stars. But that wasn't true. Not entirely. Hidden in the Pacific Ocean, under layers of rock and water, an old station began to glow. It was built in silence. Funded by dozens of secret projects. No one above knew what lay below. Was called Project Eclipse. Inside. Machines that had slept for 20 years began to wake up. Giant engines, miles wide, started humming. Ships hidden under the sea-black, sharp, quiet began to rise slowly. Unseen by human eyes, Commander Voss stood in front of a giant control panel. His face was calm, but his voice was steel. Activate Echo Protocol. No more hiding. A young officer turned to him. Sir, that means full deployment. Voss nodded. Yes, Earth just got its first message from the stars. It's time we answer. In a quiet desert in Arizona, an old military base opened its doors. Inside, not missiles, but something old or something buried for years. Dozens of armored vehicles rolled out. But they didn't drive on wheels, they floated. Gravity tech. Human-made, but never shown to the world. Soldiers in black armor stepped out, their suits glowing with soft blue light. They said nothing. Their mission was clear. Across the globe, strange things began to happen. In orbit, one of Earth's older stations, a rusted, dying structure suddenly came back to life. Inside it, hidden for decades, was an AI core. Its name was Janus. It was Earth's first attempt at space defense, AI long thought to be a failure. But now, Janus woke up, and it was angry. The Empire's beacon tried to scan Earth's systems again. But this time, something scanned back. Janus sent a single packet of data, just a pulse. The beacon's outer shell sparked for a moment. It tried to react, but too late. Janus had seen its insides. The message was sent down to Earth in seconds. Commander. Voss read it with a straight face. They're not just here to conquer us, he said slowly. They've done this before. Earth is next in line. He looked at the others, but we're not like the others. Cycle 5 began. The beacon spoke again. This time, the voice was slower, almost amused. You do not respond. Is this pride or fear? Your weapons are weak. Your species is slow. We offer you survival. Why do you delay? Earth said nothing. Instead, deep in orbit, something moved. A black shape detached from an asteroid, something the Empire hadn't noticed. It had no heat, no light, just silence. It was human. A stealth drone, covered in radar-absorbing plates and cloaked by visual dampeners. It floated quietly near the beacon. It scanned it inch by inch. Then it returned, back on Earth. The data arrived. The beacon wasn't alone. Far behind the moon, something massive was hiding. A warship, Empire class, big enough to carry thousands of troops. Big enough to level continents. Voss stared at the image. They're not waiting for our answer, he said. They're just waiting for the excuse. He walked toward the central table. On it was a button, red and glass-covered. Time to wake the fleet. In the Mariana Trench, pressure cracked the ocean floor. A panel opened in silence. And from the darkness, something rose. A ship. Not silver. Not bright. Black as night. It had no windows, no markings. Just sharp angles, weapons ports, and something painted on the side in dull white. HFY Obsidian Fury. It wasn't alone. Across the Earth, from Iceland to Antarctica, hidden hangars opened. Ships rose, silent, deadly. These were not defense ships. These were vengeance ships. And the skies above Earth began to fill slowly. Carefully with the black fleet. The beacon scanned again. And it paused. Then, for the first time, it spoke. With hesitation. This world has warships? Commander Voss, now aboard Obsidian Fury, looked at the screen. Yes, he whispered. We have warships, and we're not kneeling. He opened a channel to all human ships. Attention all fleet units. We have received a demand. We are not answering. We are responding. He stared into the stars. They thought Earth was quiet. They thought we were weak. Let's remind them what humans are. And in that moment, Earth's skies began to darken, not with clouds, not with ash, but with black warships rising from the oceans, the mountains, the heavens. The Empire wanted Earth to kneel, but Earth stood, and the galaxy would never forget what came next. The oceans were quiet. Above them, the world watched the skies. News reports ran 24/7. Some said it was fake. Others said the end was near. But no one knew what was happening beneath the surface. deep under the sea, past the deepest known point. On Earth, something had started to move. For decades, Project Eclipse remained silent. Built by a hidden alliance of nations, the project was meant to be Earth's last defense, a secret even world leaders didn't fully understand. It began during the Cold War. Whispers of alien signals, strange readings from deep space, a fear that something was watching Earth. The project was buried in silence, and only a few were allowed to know. Scientists, engineers, warriors, they all worked in the shadows. Now, their work was waking up. Trench split open, rock cracked, steam rose. And then they came. Massive shapes moved slowly upward, covered in black armor. No light, no sound, not human-like, not beautiful. These were weapons machines built for one reason. War in space. One of them was larger than the rest. It had no visible engines, yet it moved. Its surface rippled with armor plating. The shape was triangular, sharp, like a spear pointed at the TARSHSF Abyss Reaper, Earth's first deep space assault cruiser. Never tested in public, never shown in any satellite feed. It had been built in pieces and assembled under the ocean floor. And it was not alone. Across the planet, from deserts to frozen valleys, from caves in the Himalayas to volcanic tunnels. In Iceland, doors opened. Black ships launched. Not one, not 10. Hundreds. Each with different size, different shape. Some were pure warships. Others carried drones. Others held AI weapons machines made to think, shoot, and kill faster than any. Life formed. Inside Earth's orbit, the Empire's beacon finally noticed. It scanned again. This time, it found movement. Hundreds of signals rising. Heat signatures, gravity shifts, metal mass. Not civilian ships. These were war vessels. The beacon's AI pulsed a warning toward the hidden Empire dreadnought behind the moon. Earth. Deploying unexpected fleet. Status. Combat ready. Inside the Empire's ship, officers stared at the data. One of them, a thin, tall alien with gray skin and 4 glowing eyes, spoke in disbelief. Primitive worlds cannot build fleets this size. This is not possible. The Admiral, larger, armored, with golden implants across his skull, did not blink. Earth lied. They were never primitive. This was camouflage, the officer hissed. What shall we do? The Admiral spoke only 2 words. Observe closely. Back on Earth, Commander Eli Voss stood aboard the Obsidian Fury, watching the launch from the main screen. The fleet was rising. Slow, controlled, quiet, but it wasn't enough. He turned to Admiral June Tavira. Commander of Orbital Operations, we need to wake everything. She nodded. Even the ones in Phase 4? Voss answered without emotion. Yes. If we wait, we lose. Tavira walked to a console. She entered an old code. It was not digital. It required physical keys, fingerprint, and voice. The console lit. UPA new set of commands began. And across the solar system, more signals rose. From the moon's dark side, a hangar opened. A small ship flew out, then another, then another. Fast, stealth-designed. They flew low to the surface, avoiding radar. Then, with sudden bursts, they shot upward into space. From Mars, a dust storm revealed something buried for years, an array of launch tubes. One by one, rockets lifted, their payloads hidden in silence. From Europa, Saturn's moon, a small icy mountain cracked open, and a dish turned toward Earth. Then it began to transmit. To whom? No one knew, but something was listening. In Earth's orbit, humanity's first wave of warships entered low orbit. People on the ground looked up and saw shadows pass over the sun. Some cried, some cheered. A young boy in Kenya pointed at the sky. Mama, Is that a dragon? His mother didn't answer. She just stared at the shadows along it, stretched across the valley. It wasn't a dragon. It was the human fleet. The official name was the Eclipse Armada. 1,200 ships. Of those, 450 were full assault class .120 were command carriers. 300 were drone deployment vessels. And 330 were AI-controlled ghost ships, silent killers that never needed a pilot. And still, more were rising. Inside the Obsidian Fury, Voss watched a map of Earth's orbit filled with blue dots friendly. One red dot remained. The beacon. Target it? One officer asked. Voss shook his head. No, let it watch. Let them know we're not afraid. A communication officer turned from her panel. Sir, incoming signal from Janus. Janus was Earth's orbital defense. AI built decades ago. Smart, cold, unfeeling, but brilliant. Voss stepped closer. Put it through. The voice of Janus was sharp and flat. Analysis complete. Empire dreadnought detected. Position, lunar far side. Mass reading 90 megatons. Estimated crew 12,000. Weapon rating, planet crack capable. The room went silent. TAVIRA. Whispered. They brought a siege ship. Voss nodded slowly. They're not here to talk. They're here to erase us. A younger officer spoke up. Sir, should we engage? Voss didn't answer right away. He stared at the screen. The human fleet was forming, now a wall of ships, like a black sea waiting to move. Then he gave the order. Send the first scout. Wing, show them we're awake. 3 small ships moved ahead of the fleet. Calcines. Phantom 1, Phantom 2, Phantom 3. They moved fast. Engines silent, hulls cooled to avoid detection. They crossed near the beacon. It tried to ping them, but got no return. They were cloaked, beyond even Empire tech. The scouts flew closer to the moon. Quiet. Hidden dot, and then they saw it. Empire dreadnought. It was massive. Black and gold, with tentacle-like weapons. Energy. Ports glowing green. Around it were 6 smaller ships frigates, guard class. Alien design. Elegant. Deadly. Phantom 1 transmitted a burst image. It reached Earth in seconds. Inside command, people stared in silence. The ship was real. And it was here. But Voss only smiled. Good. They came to fight. He turned to the war table. Then, let's show them what Earth really built. He pressed a command key. Across Earth's orbit, ships began to move. Slowly. Purposefully. Toward the moon. The Empire dreadnought activated shields. Its weapons spun to life. One of its captains whispered, "They dare approach?" The admiral did not blink. "They are fools." Then came the sound radio chatter, Earth language, translated automatically. To the Empire ship behind the moon. This is Earth Fleet Command. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. You came here to test us. Now, prepare to be tested. The admiral laughed, but his laughter faded quickly. Behind Earth's first fleet came something else. Massive, slow, darker than space itself. 3 ships, bigger than all others. Each had no lights, no visible weapons, but they moved with purpose. Empire scanned them. It failed. No data returned. The admiral stood from his chair. What are those? Back on Earth, Commander Voss watched them rise. He turned to Admiral Tavira. You wanted. Phase 4, he said. She smiled. There it is. The ships had names. HSF Leviathan, HSF Silent Storm, HSF Hellmark. Each one was not just a ship. Each one was a city of war. The sleeping fleet was no longer sleeping. It was awake. And it was angry. Space was silent, but tension was rising. Earth's black warships now floated in orbit like a swarm of shadows. The Eclipse Armada had awakened. Drones buzzed silently in the darkness. Human officers across hundreds of ships held their breath. The far side of the moon, the Empire's dreadnought waited. Massive. Cold. Watching. It had not moved. It had not fired, but its presence was a message in itself. Back on Earth, Commander Eli Voss stood in the command deck of Obsidian Fury. Around him, screens showed data, ship positions, fleet readiness, and enemy movement. Any response yet from the Empire? He asked. None, replied Admiral June Tavira. Beacons still transmitting that same countdown. 4 cycles left. Voss turned toward the glass window that looked into the stars. They're waiting for fear, he said. They expect us to break. Another officer spoke, nervous. What if they're right? Voss turned sharply. Then we were never meant to survive. He walked forward and placed his hand on a steel panel. The command system lit up. His voice was clear, firm, broadcast to all ships. The signal went live across the fleet. This is Commander Voss. You all know what's out there. You've seen the images. Heard the voice. They came here expecting slaves. They sent one ship, one beacon, one message. He paused, but now. They see warships. Now they see us. We don't kneel. We fight. And if they want Earth, they'll have to go through hell first. Every soldier, pilot, and AI drone received the message, and the reply was the same across all coms. For Earth. For survival. For vengeance. The Empire's dreadnought activated its scanners again. The human fleet had doubled in size. It was not a bluff. It was not a trick. Earth had built a real armada. Empire Admiral paced slowly across the crystal floor of his command bridge. He was calm. Too calm. He raised one long hand toward his officer. Send one scout ship, one only. Let us test their strength. The officer hesitated. Alone, Admiral? The Admiral smiled, lips thin and cruel. One blade can open a throat. We don't need a storm to kill a bug. The scout ship launched .sleek, .fast, .alien. It was shaped like a silver knife, powered by an advanced gravity drive. It crossed lunar orbit in minutes, heading directly toward Earth's fleet. It broadcast nothing. Just moved silently. Watching. Scanning. Looking for weakness. Inside Obsidian Fury, alarms beeped. Unknown ship approaching. Single contact. Not firing. No shields active, said a voice from the console. Voss narrowed his eyes. They're testing us. Tavira stepped beside him. What do we do? He turned slowly. Let them see. But only what we want them to. He pressed a key on the console. Near the edge of Earth's fleet, one human ship moved forward. HFY Vindicator. Smaller than most, but fast. Agile. Built for patrol. But heavily armed. Open channel, Voss ordered. A communication beam reached. The approaching alien scout. The message was short. This is Earth. Identify yourself or turn back. No reply. The alien ship moved closer. Voss's eyes narrowed. Send another message. Final warning. A second message pulsed through space. This is your last warning. Turn around or be destroyed. The alien ship suddenly accelerated. Weapons. Warmed. Too fast. Too close. It fired. One pulse beam shot across space. It hit. HFY Vindicator's shield sparking, but not piercing. The human ship responded instantly. 2 railguns activated. 1. AI-controlled missile launched. 3 seconds later, the alien ship exploded. No flame. Just pieces. Silent. Shrapnel floating through space. Earth's first blood drawn. The comms room inside. Obsidian Fury went silent. Then Voss gave the order. Send the message back. The Empire dreadnought received the transmission. A video feed. Their scout ship, burning, and a voice.human.calm.deadly. You sent one. Now hear us clearly. This was our warning shot. If another crosses that line, it will not return. Earth does. Not kneel. Earth does not forget. The Empire Admiral stared at the screen. He was no longer smiling. The beacon over Earth stopped its countdown. A new message played, but this time, the voice was slower, colder. You have made your choice. The message repeated across all frequencies. You had a chance. You have chosen war. Back on Earth, the people listened. In cities, in ships, in stations . And they answered with silence. But their silence was full of rage. The eclipse. Armada moved forward, just slightly. Ships adjusted position. Formations tightened. Drone swarms rose like flocks of birds behind carriers. Fighters prepped for launch. Railguns charged. The Empire dreadnought powered up its shields. And for the first time, moved toward Earth. The standoff had begun. But Earth had already decided that there would be no surrender. Only the fight ahead, and the galaxy would soon witness a truth no one ever believed. Humanity never forgot how to make war. The stars were shining over Earth, but they began to fade one by one, not because of clouds, not because of nightfall, but because of the ships. Thousands of them. Black, sharp, silent, they rose from oceans, deserts, mountains, and spaceports, from hidden launch platforms deep beneath ice shelves, from secret hangars buried inside forgotten canyons. Each ship carried the same message in its presence. We are awake. Children looked up from cities and pointed at the sky. Where did the stars go? Their parents didn't answer. Because they knew the truth. The stars weren't gone. Earth's fleet was rising. On board the HSF Obsidian Fury, Commander Eli Voss stood at the main viewport. The image outside was breathtaking. Sea of black steel stretched across orbit. Thousands of Earth warships moved slowly into a grand formation. It looked like a storm was building above the planet. Behind him, Admiral Tavera whispered, "It's beautiful." Voss didn't blink. It's only the beginning. On every deck, pilots climbed into fighters. Engineers locked missile bays. AI drones ran diagnostics. Crews wore black suits with red stripes, the mark of Eclipse Protocol. Each ship had been built for one purpose only, to end wars quickly. Voss stepped forward. Open. Secure channel to all ships. A tech officer nodded. Across the fleet. Screens flickered on. Then came his voice. "This is Voss. Look around you. Look at the sky. This is us." He paused. "They said we were weak. They said we would kneel. But now we rise not as nations, not as tribes, but as one planet, one fleet, one Earth." Silence. Then he spoke the final line. "They covered our skies with threats. Now we cover the stars with fire." The screens went black. The fleet moved. Far behind the moon. The Empire's dreadnought watched. Sensors flashed. One of the alien officers turned to the Admiral. "Human fleet mass exceeds original prediction by 400%. Their ships have advanced targeting systems, unknown AI patterns, shielding primitive but layered. Their numbers are unacceptable." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "We expected rocks and fire, but they built thunder." He stood still for a moment, then pointed to the forward view screen. "Prepare the core weapon." Back on Earth, the public now knew. The blackout had ended. Live feeds showed warships in the sky. News anchors cried while reporting. Some cities held hands and prayed. Others cheered, screaming into the air. In Paris, a woman painted a massive mural of a black ship across a wall. In Tokyo, people climbed rooftops to see the fleet pass over the moonlight. In New York, crowds gathered in Times Square and whispered one word: revenge. Because Earth hadn't forgotten what the Empire did to other planets. And they knew this was not just defense. This was retaliation. Inside Earth's orbital command station, Janus, the old defense AI, began rerouting satellites. It created new line of tracking beacons. Purpose? Targeting. The Empire dreadnought had begun to move. Janus spoke on all secure fleet channels. Primary hostile is changing position. Ship class, planetary assault, energy core charging. Estimated time to full. Weapon activation, 9 minutes. Voss heard the voice from his seat on Obsidian Fury. He stood up. We need to move now. Tavira stepped forward. Full engagement? Voss gave one nod. All units, this is it. Across the fleet, alarms rang. Engines roared. Drones were launched. Ships began turning, rotating, arming all weapons. The fleet split into squadrons, each with a leader, each with a target. Earth's war machine had begun to spin. From above, it looked like a storm of metal and fire forming in orbit. The Leviathan, Earth's largest warship, activated. Its railguns slid out from hidden hatches. Hull shifted, expanding, growing like an armored beast waking from sleep. Inside it, 10,000 soldiers prepared for zero-G combat. It broadcast one message only: release the swarm. And then the drones came. Thousands. They poured out like black rain from carrier bays. Fast, small, deadly. AI guided with no emotion. They didn't talk. They didn't miss. And they went straight toward the moon. The Empire dreadnought responded. Its shields glowed. Green. 6 smaller warships spread out, forming a defense wall. The alien admiral gave the order: destroy the front line. The dreadnought's main weapon charged. A huge cannon emerged from its center. Energy pulsed into it hotter than a star core. It aimed not at Earth, but at the lead Earth squadron, specifically HSF Vindicator. The cannon fired. Light exploded. Across space. Faster than any missile. Too fast to dodge. But just before it hit, something moved. HSF silenced storm a larger. Cruiser shifted sideways. It absorbed the blast. Its shields shattered. Its hull cracked. And then it exploded, sacrificing itself to protect the others. Inside Obsidian Fury, silence held for a second. Then Voss said, send their names to the archive. Tavira nodded. Already done. He gave a cold breath. Now return the favor. Earth's fleet opened fire. Massive railgun slugs crossed space in seconds. Missiles screamed through the void. Energy beams lit up the darkness. And the drones. They tore into the Empire's guard ships like wolves. One Empire frigate exploded after only 6 seconds. Another tried to escape, but was ripped apart by nanic clouds. The dreadnought shields began to flicker. And Earth wasn't done. Not yet. Leviathan rotated into position. Its main gun, a gravitational lance, charged. The weapon meant space for a moment, then fired. It didn't hit like an explosion. It crushed. One of the Empire's secondary ships folded in on itself like paper. Gone. Just gone. Back inside the dreadnought, the Empire admiral stood very still. He watched his defense line collapse. 4 guard ships gone, 1 damaged, 1 fleeing. He turned to his officers. These are not primitives. No one answered. He gave one final order: activate the failsafe. Prepare for system collapse. Back in Earth's fleet, cheers erupted on some bridges, but not on Obsidian Fury. Voss stared at the data. No, they're preparing something. Janus spoke again. Warning. Enemy. Core overload detected. Estimated countdown, 120 seconds. Tavira's eyes widened. They're going to blow their own ship? No, Voss said. They're going to blow ours with it. He slammed a red button. All ships fall back. Move out of radius now. But it might have been too late. The Empire dreadnought began to glow from the inside. Its hull cracked. Its weapons fired randomly. It was turning into a bomb. Then a shadow passed over the battlefield. A massive shape. Bigger than any warship. Class AI-driven. Unknown to even most of Earth's command. Only Voss knew its name. It was humanity's hidden ace. Project Threshold. The ship had no crew, no nameplate. Just one goal: stop extinction-level threats. It dove toward the dreadnought like a falling star dot, and as the Empire ship prepared to detonate, Project Threshold collided. A silent explosion. Light without sound. Flames without fire. Both ships vanished. Nothing but pieces remained. The Empire's dreadnought was gone. So was Earth's ghost ship. But the message had been delivered. Earth fights back. And Earth sacrifices when needed. The fleet paused. Then repositioned. The stars began to shine again, because the ships had moved forward past the planet, toward the Empire's space. The fleet that once darkened Earth's sky was now heading toward alien worlds. The blackness near Neptune was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Rhea stood on the command bridge of the ISS Vengeance, eyes scanning the holographic map. The human fleet had been chasing a group of Imperial scout ships. They had left a trail of debris through the outer system. Earth's high command believed they were retreating, but Rhea didn't believe it. Something felt wrong. Neptune's rings shimmered faintly under the light of Sol. The gas giant's swirling storms danced in blue shadows. The Vengeance moved slowly, leading a small pack of 6 human destroyers. Each ship was silent, their weapons charged, their hulls cold to avoid sensor detection. "Where are they?" whispered Commander Malik. Rhea didn't answer. Her instincts, honed through 10 years of war and command, screamed that this was a trap. And then it happened. The stars vanished. Above Neptune's orbit, the void suddenly twisted. Space itself seemed to crack open. One after another, dark Imperial warships uncloaked, their hulls bristling with plasma weapons. "Contact!" shouted the sensor officer. Multiple enemy signatures. 24? No, 32 ships. The Empire had not been running. They had been waiting. Rhea clenched her jaw. The ambush had begun. "Full shields," she ordered. "Deploy decoys and spread the formation. Do not let them box us in." The destroyers broke apart in an instant, each ship rolling and weaving through space. The sky lit up as the first plasma torpedoes came in like falling stars. Human ships dodged and countered, but the enemy fire was heavy, too heavy. One of the destroyers, the ISS Thorn, took a direct hit. Its shield flared, then cracked, and a second later the ship exploded, ripped apart in silence. No screams were heard in the vacuum, just cold fire and shattered metal. "Target their flagships," Rhea said, her voice like steel. "They want to finish us here. Let's make sure we take their heart with us." She activated the command relay. "This is Captain Rhea of the Vengeance. Code Black protocol now in effect. Release the Goliath." Far below Neptune's icy shadow, something massive stirred. The Goliath had been hiding inside the planet's radiation belt. It was Earth's secret weapon, a Titan-class war carrier over 10 kilometers long, powered by an antimatter drive. Its hull was covered in active armor. It did not just fire weapons, it carried entire squadrons of drone bombers, railgun satellites, and automated boarding pods. The enemy didn't see it coming. They had been focused on the 6 destroyers. They believed Earth had sent a scouting force, but Earth had sent bait, and the trap had just snapped shut. "Launch swarm sequence," Rhea ordered. The Goliath lit up like a sun. Hundreds of drones poured from its belly, each the size of a small fighter. They moved fast, weaving through enemy lines, dropping nanite charges on hulls, and slicing through armor dot. The Empire's ambush turned into chaos. That had been silent and hidden now screamed with alarms. Their plasma weapons overheated, their shields overloaded. One by one, Imperial vessels began to fall. Inside one enemy command ship, a Varak general growled, slamming his clawed fist onto the command screen. This was supposed to be a trap. He hissed, "Why? Why do they keep surprising us?" Back on the Vengeance, Rhea watched as the tide shifted. Moloch turned to her. "Should we pull back now?" She shook her head. "Not yet. Let them feel what it means to ambush a human fleet." As the Goliath moved deeper into the battle, it released another surprise. Orbital mines with micro-AI, which latched onto enemy ships and exploded from within. The remaining Imperial vessels began to break formation. Some tried to flee. Rhea didn't let them. Deploy Hunter torpedoes. Lock onto their warp trails. No one leaves. From deep inside the Vengeance, missiles shot out silent and deadly. These weren't ordinary torpedoes. They tracked warp signatures, chased through hyperspace, and detonated only when the target thought it had escaped. The Empire's ambush had failed. Their ships were burning. The space around Neptune was now filled with glowing wreckage, shattered cruisers, and the drifting remains of proud Imperial vessels. The humans had lost 2 destroyers, but the Empire had lost 15 ships, including 2 flagships. And worst of all, they now knew Earth had built something they did not understand. Something ancient, not something monstrous. Something like the Goliath. In the silence of space, Rhea finally sat down in her chair. She was exhausted. Her crew was tired. But she was not done. "Send the signal to command," she said. "Neptune is clear. Phase 3 can begin. Should we return to Earth for repairs?" Moloch asked. "No," Rhea said. "We're going. Deeper. All the way to the Kuiper line. That's where they're hiding their fleet yards. If we hit them there, they won't recover for years." Moloch hesitated. "It's dangerous." "So was Neptune," she said, staring at the wreckage. Outside the window. But look who's still flying. Far away, from a hidden Imperial outpost near Pluto, another Varak general watched the final transmissions from the Neptune battle. He stared in silence. "They are Deathworlders," he muttered. "And now they've learned how to set traps." He turned to his aide. "Send word to the High Throne. Earth must be stopped before they reach the stars, or we will all kneel before them." But it was already too late. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were winning, and the sky was only getting darker. The silence after the 5th strike was not peace. It was waiting. A deep, cold waiting in the stars. The Empire had lost 5 fleets. Entire sectors had gone dark. But the Empress still refused to believe that Earth could win. She stood inside her golden throne chamber, her long robes brushing the marble floor. Around her, high generals and war priests whispered. "The humans will break," one said. "They've stretched too far." But they were wrong. Because while the Empire waited, humanity was moving fast. Commander Serenox stood at the edge of Kepler 94 orbit, staring at the remains of another Empire world. The cities below were nothing but smoke and ash. The orbital ring station had been cut in half. Its pieces still floated, glowing with red fire. Beside her, the AI voice from her ship whispered, "No survivors detected." She didn't flinch. She just nodded. "Next target?" The AI pulled up a star map. 4 red dots blinked in the Empire's core rim. They were military outposts, fueling bases, long-range relays, command towers. Syrah narrowed her eyes. "Send the swarm?" The swarm was not insects. It was humanity's latest gift to the galaxy. Hundreds of unmanned nano-drones that moved together like a single mind. They didn't speak. They didn't sleep. And they didn't stop dot in less than 6 hours. All 4 outposts vanished, dot gone dot. Not a single distress call made it out. The Empire never even saw them coming. From the core worlds, angry voices shouted, "This is terrorism. This is savagery. This is inhuman." But none of those voices belonged to soldiers. They were diplomats, cowards, rich nobles. The soldiers were already dead. Admiral Yulin of the 12th Empire. Armada was the only one still alive from the command staff. He sat in a burned-out cruiser above. The remains of the Khazari Belt, 25,000 Empire soldiers had been stationed there. They had vanished in under 30 minutes. We never saw the ships," he whispered over comms. The sky just turned dark. His transmission was shaky, his voice broken. He had blood on his uniform. Behind him, something metal cracked, and he jumped. "They didn't fire like us," he whispered again. "They didn't fight like us. They hunted." And then he screamed. Video of his death spread fast. The Empire tried to block it, tried to stop it, but it was too late. It leaked into every system, every planet. Billions of citizens watched the last few seconds on their devices. His last words echoed across the stars. "They hunted us like prey." And fear began to grow. Not in the people of Earth, but in the hearts of the Empire itself. Earth's strategy was not simple revenge. It was message warfare. Every Empire system that had attacked Earth's colonies was now gone, not bombed, not captured. Erased. The stars where they once lived were silent. The humans didn't leave flags. They left silence, and that silence was louder than any battle cry. Aboard the UNS Night Vale, Sarah Knox gathered her crew in the war room. She pointed at a hologram of the Empire's last big fleet, over 700 warships, 5 dreadnoughts, and the Empress's personal guard. "They're heading to the Helix Convergence," she said. Trying to regroup, her second officer, Reyes, frowned. "You think they'll attack Earth again?" Sarah shook her head. "No, they're trying to hide." The crew went quiet. No one expected that. Sarah wasn't finished. She pointed to a blinking symbol deep in the Helix cluster. It was an old signal, an ancient one. From before the war. It read, "Project Arcfall, Human Emergency Vault, do not open." Reyes blinked. "That's one of ours?" Sarah nodded. "Built before first contact, in case Earth ever faced total extinction. Is it still active? We're about to find out." 2 days later, the Empire fleet reached Helix. They thought they were safe. They were wrong, because Project Arcfall had never shut down. It had simply waited. When the Empire ships entered the system, Arcfall opened its vaults. Ancient defense platforms, long forgotten, came online. Solar-forged cannons rose from asteroids. Warp mines began to pulse, and the humans didn't even have to be there. By the time Sarah's fleet arrived, the battle was already over. The Empire's last armada was gone, and the system was dark. Sarah's ship drifted through the wreckage. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. She simply said one word: "Next." The Empress screamed in her throne, not out of pain, but out of fear. "Why?" She cried to her priests. "Why won't they kneel? We gave them a choice." But Earth never wanted to kneel. Earth wanted the Empire to remember. To remember the screams of colonies wiped out. To remember the children lost on mining moons. To remember what it meant to push a species too far. The Empress had ordered them to kneel. Now she knelt before silence, before fire, before extinction. And far above her too. Far for her to see Earth's final. Warfleet had begun to move. Their engines lit the black sky, and there were no survivors among the stars. The blackness of space was no longer quiet. Dozens of warships now floated near the Empire's border. line no one had ever dared to cross before. But now, those warships belonged to humans. Their hulls were black like shadow. Their engines burned with white fire. Their weapons were silent, but every sensor in the galaxy could feel the pressure. It was the silence before a storm. On the bridge of the lead ship, Iron Resolve, Commander Rillen stood with a hard look in his eyes. He didn't blink. He didn't move. The stars reflected in his pupils like tiny enemies. Beside him, Admiral Lara of the Free Worlds Alliance watched the human crew work. "They said you would never come this far," she said quietly. Rillen answered without turning. "They said we would kneel." A message flashed across the main screen. It came from the Empire's defense grid. "Cold, royal, proud. Turn back, Earthborn. The Emperor offers mercy for the last time." Rillen's lips twitched slightly. Not a smile, just disgust. He tapped the screen once and sent a reply. "No more mercy. We came to end this." Lara stepped back as the ship's power grew. Lights dimmed, the deck hummed, and somewhere deep inside the engine core, the fusion chambers. Screened awake. Other human ships responded instantly. Weapons locked, shields raised. Targeting systems began tracking every Imperial station across the border. In the Empire's capital. Far away, alarms went off. The Emperor rose from his cold metal throne. His golden robes brushed the steps. He stared at the holomap glowing. In the center of the chamber, dozens of human ships. Too close. Too fast. His voice cut the air. Who let them get this far? His generals didn't speak. No one had answers. "They are primitives," he snarled. "Send the full fleet. Burn them before they infect our sky." But it was too late, because the humans were already moving. The first attack came like thunder. One human ship fired a focused energy beam that split an Imperial patrol vessel clean in half. No warning, no delay. Just pure, sharp destruction. Lara flinched. That was a destroyer. One shot. Rillen only said, "We don't bluff." All across the sector, human warships moved with surgical precision. They didn't waste shots. They didn't miss. Each target was chosen carefully. Military outposts, sensor stations, supply hubs. Within minutes, entire defensive lines had vanished. But they didn't stop there. Rillen gave the next order. "Activate Black Horizon Protocol." His crew paused. Everyone knew what that meant. Mass jamming. Sensor blindness. Ghost tech. In seconds, all human ships vanished from radar. Empire stations lit up with errors. The command grid failed. Ships began spinning in panic. No one could see anything anymore. It was as if Earth's ships had become shadows. Lara whispered, "What have you built, Rillen?" He didn't answer, because Earth hadn't just built warships. It had built a message. A weaponized truth. A silent scream that echoed across the stars. The Empire had pushed too far. Now the humans had stopped pulling punches. In deep space, 3 massive human ships uncloaked at once. They weren't destroyers. They weren't even cruisers. They were something else entirely. Each one was the size of a small moon. Their cores glowed red. Their names burned on their sides in silent challenge. Judgment. Silence. Vengeance. The Emperor watched the feed from a scout drone before it went dark. His breath caught. No one in his entire rule had seen weapons that size. No race had dared build ships so dangerous that even space itself bent near them. And yet Earth had built. 3. "They have crossed the line," he hissed. But it wasn't a line anymore. It was a wall the humans had kicked down. On the Iron Resolve, Rillen gave the final command. "All ships advance." The stars trembled as the fleet moved. The war had begun. And this time, humanity wasn't holding back. They called it the Crown Sector. It was the Empire's heart, the place where its rulers lived, where its fleets gathered, where no enemy had ever entered in 10,000 years. Now, for the first time in history, Earth's warships were here. They didn't sneak in. They didn't beg for peace. They came like a hammer in the dark, dragging a storm of fire behind them. Admiral Rillen stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve. The stars were still. The galaxy itself held its breath, all ships in position. His second officer reported, "Judgment, silence, and vengeance are armed. We await your word." Ryland's hands were behind his back. His face was hard as stone. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about memory. This was about every colony burned by the Empire. Every child who never grew up. Every human soul they tried to break. And now, humanity had come to break the Empire instead. Raylan's voice was calm. Broadcast the final message. Across the stars, a signal went out. It passed through every comm line, every screen. Every station got the Emperor himself saw it flash before him. You ruled through fear. We bring an end to fear. Your time is over. No name, no threat, just a truth. And then the sky caught fire. The first attack wave was brutal. Human dreadnoughts moved like hunting sharks. No wasted motion, no sound. Their plasma cannons carved holes into the Empire's defenses. Their railguns tore through armor like it was paper. The Empire's golden armada was waiting, but not ready. Ships scrambled. Formations broke. Commands overlapped. The Empire had always relied on being feared. But fear meant nothing to Earth anymore. Inside the Capital Command Tower, the Emperor stood before a giant holomap. Red dots appeared everywhere. His fleets were dying. His stations were falling. His throne world was under siege. This is madness. He whispered. His war minister spoke, trembling. They fight like machines, like ghosts. They don't take prisoners. No, the Emperor said, because we showed them none. On the front line, vengeance unleashed its doomsday weapon. It wasn't a beam. It wasn't a missile. It was a gravity pulse. A rip in space. The shockwave pulled 5 Empire battleships into each other. Their hulls cracked like glass, and the whole cluster exploded in white light. Rillen watched from afar. No joy, no pride. Just silence. "They're learning," said Lyra, the Free Worlds Alliance commander beside him. "The Empire finally knows what it feels like to be hunted." Rillen nodded. "But it's not over yet." On the surface of the Emperor's throne world, sirens blared. Civilians ran to shelters. Elite guards marched through the streets. Towers that had stood for centuries now shook. Then the drop pods came. One by one, they fell from orbit. Black, sharp, silent. And from them came the humans, not just soldiers, avengers, survivors, weapons in human skin. Their armor bore no flags, only scars. Their mission was simple: reach the palace, end the rule. The Empire threw everything at them: mechs, turrets, even beasts bred for war. It didn't matter. Human boots marched forward, one step at a time, relentless. They didn't fight for medals. They fought for memory. They fought for Earth. Inside the throne room, the Emperor waited. He wore his battle crown. His robe shimmered with gold threads. And on his side, the ancient blade of his house. Behind him stood his last 10 guards. "We will die here," he said quietly. "But we will die as rulers." And then the doors exploded. The sound echoed like a god's fist. Smoke filled the hall, and through the smoke came Rillen. His armor was damaged. One arm was bleeding, but he stood tall, eyes locked on the throne. The Emperor laughed. "You dare stand before the sun?" Rillen raised his weapon. "No, I came to put it out." The last battle was short, brutal. The Emperor fought like a beast. Rillen fought like history itself had chosen him. Steel clashed. Blood spilled. The throne cracked dot, and in the end, Rillan stood over the Emperor's body. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He simply turned and walked away. Hours later, the Empire was gone, its flags burned, its laws erased. Every planet that had suffered now rose again, and in the place of fear came something new, got respect, got not love. Not peace, but a respect so deep it would last for centuries. Because the galaxy now knew a truth no one could forget. Earth does not kneel. Earth does not forget. And when Earth comes, it comes with fire. The stars were quiet again. But now they whispered one name: humanity.